Welcome everybody to this new channel. As you may already know from my main channel, this video has been chosen to be made up next. And so here it is, in this channel, just like I told you. Now, before we get into it, I just want to say I don't know everything about the game and stuff. I know a lot of things, yes, but not everything since I'm not a very OG of this game. I've been playing it for like a year later after its release. But anyways, let's get this off the way. Now, time for the history. It all began in the year of 2021, when a determined creator wanted to make a free-for-all Undertale game for people to enjoy, different from the ones that we get nowadays. It then has been published in 10th of July of 2021, and from there is where its history just began. The game was simple, simple as these other games that we can find nowadays, yet differently made, more original. And people loved it. It had thousands of players playing it, and you don't even need a lot of skill to play it correctly, or to be good at this game at least. There were many characters to choose and play freely, without needing any sort of gold or something like that. People began then training these characters to become good at it. And it has been like this until Halloween came. And then the first event of this game just released. During the Halloween event, there were a lot of players that wanted to get these three characters offered, collecting as many pumpkins around the map as possible, with these three characters being Reaper Sans, Hardmood Sans, and Nightmare Sans, with those last two being extremely broken. And that's where the balance of the meta was really affecting this game. And as you can already guess, many people got them all, with Hortmut and Nightmare Sans being extremely broken at that time and almost undefeatable. The problem has kept on like this that even the dev of this game, PSS, decided to nerf them on the next update. After the event ended, it's where new characters and new reworks started to appear in the game, such as characters like Jevil, which is from the Game Pass, and the rework of Glitchtail Chara, which, by the way, these two characters were very relevant to this meta. And since then, the Glitchtail Chara legends began to rise. There were many good players in that era, but the most relevant ones were Technic, Communist, and Berkay. Technic was the best Glitchtail Chara for a week before Com took his place. And then we got Berkay, who is the so-called Devil Slayer of the old era. But up to this day, they barely are seen in game. Berkay and Technic retired, and then I barely see Communist play anymore. So I don't know if they are gonna come back. Berkay and Technic most likely not, but Communist I'm not sure too. A lot of other legends also rose, even though not as much as these three. But there were also many good players with these characters. And then the Christmas event released. They offered two characters this time, instead of three, which were Christmas Chara and Alphys Neo, with Alphys Neo also breaking a concept of balance. Many months later after that event, I suddenly found this game on March of 2022 and made my first appearance in it. Everything was still simple, with the old glitch-tail Chara everybody loved, with error and sudden changes also being reworked, but the rest of the characters remaining pretty much the same. There were also the battle simulator characters still in there, such as Berserker, Mage, and Knight. I've been playing the game for a few days and suddenly I was caught off guard by the new update they had. They started to rework Undyne. She only had her first phase, but they changed everything that had the game before, in its old era. So I joined the game and tried her out. At first, I didn't see much potential in her for the meta. She was still in a development phase and I wasn't aware of the tricks she had up her sleeve, until I found out in 2034 that I'll talk later. But also, she could make the game visually better and upgrade it. So it was a 50-50 update for me. What nobody knew is that this decision making from the VSS would change the game forever. From what used to be thousands of players in the game up to 50 average every day, approximately, of course. VSS didn't know what was happening even though he was upgrading the game, but so he kept doing more complex reworks, such as Sans rework for example. After some time, Undyne's rework has been completely made and Killer has been reworked as well. And this will cause yet another disbalance in this game, because at that moment, Killer was very strong in that meta. And Undyne, well, she was not that strong, but she was still a bit unbalanced for the recent characters. After those updates, the game would yet have another letdown. A lot of bugs were happening with the newer and reworked characters, and as well as the update rate, which decreased a lot. And what I mean by that is that after a few months, there was still no update. So, VSS was giving up, or was he just preparing something else? That's what people never knew. And during that time, a lot of players were starting to abuse these bugs from each character. And then some people even considered that this game was not skill based anymore, but instead bug based, because they gave such an advantage to the opponent that it was not even fair. And a lot of people still complained about that, but VSS was taking no actions to fix this. And so this problem just kept growing and growing. And eventually, the next Halloween event dropped. And for the event, the requirement was different. You didn't have to collect pumpkins, but instead, kill pieces of Nightmare, as these NPCs were called, to then have a chance to drop the red eye, which would then give the badge. It was not very hard, even though you needed killer. And while a lot of this was happening, a lot of players were starting to rise as well. Then here are a few good examples of good players. We have Communist still staying on top, Oigo Black, Mystery, Primary BN, Moon, Devgoose, and many more. The event was over, and there was a new map as well, but everything stood pretty much the same. The same bug abusers, same characters, and no other changes at all. Just the usual thing you see in this game. Now we skip to 2023, where the second Christmas update just released. And this was even easier than the second Halloween event. You only had to find a gift that would randomly appear in the map and collect it before anybody else. That was everything you had to do. But due to it being easy, there was only one character to be offered, which was Red. This character then, people will find out that she's a nuker such as Jebel, and then it will cause a lot of trouble in the balance, since you can't even get close to her because the moment you do, all they need is spam their guardians and boom, you're almost dead. And then something that nobody could ever predict happened. The game stopped receiving active updates from VSS, making the event last way longer than it should, around 3 months, before VSS notices and changes the map to normal, finally finishing it. But after that, he spent like 6 months on the following update, and you can see where this is going. Everybody was starting to forget this game. After those 6 months, he finally updated again, reworking Cross, Ink, and Dream. But then, the unexpected happened again. The game was left over without updating for a whole year and some months. VSS was starting to lose his determination due to how little amount of players are in the game daily. And so, he left the game unupdated, even skipping some events like the what could have been the Halloween 2024 event and so. And then, out of a sudden, a new Christmas event started with a new character, Sensta, and also bringing back the old Christmas characters that some people missed. And from there, the game started to update normally again, even though not forever, but it was something. Also, during this event, a balance patch has been added, possibly the first ever, balancing the character's moves according to VSS point of view. When the Christmas event ended, VSS decided to be more active and even adding duels, which let you fight with any character that's official to duels against somebody else, being fair and square, with nobody interrupting. Now, this idea, a lot of people like this idea, and I do too. It's very nice. And alongside the duels update, some characters received a whole theme for them, since back in that time, there was one point where no character had a theme. But it wasn't enough to convince players to come back to this game. And a bit after, the Ink rework then came out. Ink Sans has been officially reworked at that time. Not to mention that before, he was easily one of the worst characters in the entire game, to not say the worst. But right after that update, it didn't take long for VSS to forget about his own game. It took a whole year and a few months to contract two new developers to continue his legacy. And just like we know today, these devs are still upgrading the same game. And it was at that point that I decided to make that post of stop making videos about UBS because there was nothing being new. Basically, everything stood the same for a lot of time. And a lot of bugs also appeared that nobody even know why they happened. But they were just there. Until these two devs started developing the game and all of a sudden the game updated. The new devs have just begun their legacy. And of course, these two devs were also very good at the game. And as for the first update, they decided to do a whole balance patch on every character, and deleting most of the old characters that were useless for the meta. And since then, these two devs have been working together to make great updates. They did the Shopkeeper update, reworking two characters very well, such as Frisk and Glitchtail Chara, as well as adding two new Undertale characters, adding Chara and Undyne. Which, by the way, Undyne is basically the version 2 Undyne, but with a few changes on her faces. Not only did they fix that, but as well they fixed a lot of bugs that the game had recently, and as well as some nerfs and buffs for the character depending on how balanced they still are. And now, everything we see about the game is what has stayed so far. They deleted hard mode sans also, and fallen killer sans, skin of course, and not much. They're thinking also to remake the whole game, but it will take a lot because they have a lot of stuff to deal with. So we gotta wait for it. And don't worry, the game is still evolving as well as its meta. Just a lot of people still don't play it. But, well, what else can we do about it? Even though we get new promises in this game, and as well as the old players still wanting to play this. But meanwhile they rework it and everything, let's enjoy what lasts of the old game of UBS we have today.